Hello everyone. The aftermath to Corn Maze is here. You wanted it, and who am I to say no to that? I was getting ready to write it either way, but I'm glad that there was interest in that. So enjoy the aftermath to the little horror story. As always, special thanks to my lovely patrons and all of you who subscribe and watch these videos. You are keeping this channel alive and going. Thank you very much, and I hope you will enjoy. The several hours following after they found Taichi was possibly the most excruciating time of Hayato's life. While Semi went out to direct the police and ambulance to the right place, he stayed by Taichi's side, doing everything he could to stop the bleeding on his head and to keep him awake. The biggest worry, besides all the things the crazed guy could do to him, was bleeding into his brain, something Hayato didn't even want to imagine. But it was a very real and very dangerous possibility, and Hayato could swear he never felt as relieved as when he finally heard the sirens howling outside. And now, here they were, all seated in the hospital hallway outside the operating room, waiting and praying for a successful surgery. He wasn't even sure when Shirabu started to squeeze his hand, or when Semi finished his fourth cup of the horrible hospital coffee. They weren't talking, just sitting together, only leaving to get something to drink or for a toilet visit. And yet, despite arriving almost 4 hours ago already, they still didn't have the slightest clue about what Taichi's state was. How much longer can that surgery take? Shirabu sighed and shrugged, straightening to stretch his back. I don't know. Subdural hematoma is a bad condition even in completely healthy patients. And with Taichi and with hemophilia, it's difficult to say how much damage it caused. Hayato clenched his jaw, from the corner of his eye seeing Semi's skin losing color. So you are saying he can have some lasting damage? Not necessarily. We got him help quite fast, and his clotting factors were good, so he might just have some lighter after effects, or be completely fine. We won't know until he wakes up. What's the outlook if there are complications? Headaches or some lighter motor or cognitive impairments are the most probable, I would say, given where he got hit. He hesitated, his hand still clutched around Hayato's, squeezing harder. Worst case scenario would probably be seizures or personality change. A heavy silence settled around them. Then Semi let out a shaky sigh and dragged his fingers through his hair. Thank goodness we went to search, huh? Who knows how bad would it be if we waited for the police to do something. Hey, Sawamura is doing everything he can. You've heard him. He would arrive sooner if the higher-ups listened to him. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. What if we didn't know him? Maybe they wouldn't even bother if he didn't push it. He let his head fall into his palms, groaning in frustration. We should buy him a bottle and a meal when he comes around. A small smile curled the corner of Hayato's lips. He gently rubbed Semi's back, trying for a positive tone. It's going to be fine. Having some luck from time to time is also worth celebrating. But I agree we should treat Sawamura to dinner or something. He deserves it for having to deal with his bosses. Before either of them could say anything else, the door from the operating room opened and out came one of the doctors who accepted them into the hospital before. They jumped up in unison. How is he? The doctor gave them an encouraging nod. The surgery went well. We had to remove the excess blood, but overall, I would say his prognosis is good. And in the future? We will know for sure after he wakes up, but judging by the state of his brain, he might suffer from headaches from now on or get tired more quickly. We will keep him here for a few days to watch though. He turned to Shirabu. I believe you will take over his treatment when he returns home. Yes, we all will. Good. Then I can only ask you to wait before he's moved into his room and the post-surgery checkup is finished. The nurse will then tell you what next. About an hour later, they sat somewhat comfortably squished in one of the hospital rooms, watching Taichi's chest rising and falling with regular breaths. All three of them settled around the bed in a way that allowed them to hold Taichi's hands in some way, neither of them willing to let go ever since they were allowed to go in. The residual fear for his boyfriend's health was still circulating through Hayato's body, but Shirabu assured them the CT scan was now clear, and there was no need to worry further about the hematoma. And Shirabu always knew what he was talking about regarding medicine. We really got lucky, huh? He gently patted Taichi's hand, noticing his was trembling a bit. Really lucky. Can we do something in the meantime? You know, before he wakes up. Shirabu shrugged. You should rest. You've got an injury to heal. It's not that bad. Not that bad, huh? It took 15 stitches, you idiot. Why didn't you say something sooner than when he arrived here? I thought it was just a scratch. It didn't hurt that much, so I thought... You and thinking, of course. Never goes well. Semi clicked his tongue before he threw both of them a scorching glare. You two won't stop, huh? Well, sorry for being worried about my damaged boyfriends. Do you know how scared I was when you didn't call for so long? I thought you were gone too. He turned away, but Hayato was neither blind nor, despite Shirabu's words, stupid to not see his eyes glossing over. Guilt jabbed in his chest, even though he knew Shirabu wasn't blaming him. He wasn't even actually upset, just worried. And they were the cause of that worry. He wrapped his arm around Shirabu's shoulders, pulling him closer to his chest. Shirabu didn't fight against it, which was yet another proof of how tired he was. Sorry. I promise we will be more careful next time. I sure hope so. They fell silent again, each going through their own thoughts while they waited for Taichi to wake up, until Shirabu's stomach rumbled loudly. Semi snorted a short laugh, chasing blood into Shirabu's cheeks. Don't you laugh at me. I haven't eaten since morning. Then why don't we go get something? I think I saw a cafeteria around here. He paused, his eyes straying uncertainly to Taichi. But, I'll wait here. You two can go get us something. They said we can eat here too, right? I'll call you if he wakes up. Despite the momentary hesitation, both Semi and Shirabu eventually got up and headed out of the room, but not before leaving light kisses on both Taichi's cheeks. Hayato then settled more comfortably to Taichi's side, bringing his hand to his lips to kiss his fingers. You gave us quite a scare, you know? We almost went crazy back there when we couldn't find you. He sighed. Though, I guess it's my fault. I promised I would keep you safe, and instead, I dragged you right into that fucker's hands. It wasn't on purpose. I just wanted you to enjoy something fun, but... Still, I hope you can forgive me. You don't have to now, just... at some point. Maybe. A light twitch of Taichi's eyelids caught his attention, the rest of the sentence forgotten. He squeezed Taichi's hand a bit more and leaned closer, his heart speeding up. Tai, come on, sweetie, open your eyes. I know you can do it. For a moment, Taichi stilled again, and then the honey-brown eyes slowly opened, still clouded by medication, but alive and perceiving the surroundings. Haya? A heavy boulder fell from Hayato's heart. He smiled and gently caressed Taichi's cheek, happiness filling his chest when he touched the warm skin. Yeah, I'm here. Eita and Kenjiro too. Taichi closed his eyes again briefly before looking around, his brow furrowed in concentration and perhaps a bit of confusion. Hayato let him sort his thoughts in peace, waiting for the right time to figure out if the hematoma did leave some trouble behind or not. Is this... am I... You're in a hospital. You're after surgery, but the doctor said you'll be fine. Something akin to pain crossed Taichi's face, alerting Hayato into a state of caution. Shirabu's words about the possible headaches echoed in his head, as well as the ones about a potential change of personality. But that couldn't be the case, right? Taichi recognized him. He seemed fine. What happened? A lot. What do you remember? The cornfield, and I got lost. And then... He flinched, his face scrunching in pain. Hayato quickly cupped his cheek, his other hand still squeezing Taichi's. Shh. It's okay, it's okay. You are safe now, I promise. It was dark and cold, and that man, he locked the door. Yeah, I know. But it's okay now. He won't hurt you again. Taichi looked at him, his eyes filled with the same fear and pain as back in the dark barn, and yet also with relief. You found me. I thought I heard your voices, but I wasn't sure if it wasn't just a dream. It wasn't. Though good thing you alerted us back then, or we might have left. Taichi paused, his brows knitting together. Alerted? Hesitating for a second, Hayato nodded, but something in Taichi's tone didn't sit right with him. As if he had no idea what he was talking about. Sure, he was out of it, but his memory was clear enough for him to recall hearing their voices. Surely he would remember alerting them to his presence, right? Yeah, with the banging. We heard it and followed it to you. Banging? Tai, what's wrong? Taichi shook his head, confusion almost seeping from him when he looked at Hayato. That couldn't be me. I couldn't move. I tried, but it didn't let me. The temperature in the room as if suddenly dropped to the freezing point. Chills ran down Hayato's spine as he opened and closed his mouth without a single word coming out. They couldn't just imagine it, right? They both heard the bangs coming from the barns. It couldn't just be some desperate attempt of his brain to find proof of Taichi's whereabouts, unless they somehow experienced a group hallucination. But it led them to Taichi. It had to be real. It had to. Aya? What? The door to the room opened. Shirabu's eyes widened a bit when they both turned to him, and then a smile softened his features. Welcome back. I'll be right with you, I promise. Just... He nodded at Hayato and motioned outside the room. Sawamura is here. You should talk with him. But Tai is... I'll stay here with him, don't worry. Albeit reluctantly, Hayato let go of Taichi's hand and headed out of the room, squeezing Shirabu's shoulder along the way. The doctor sweated his hand away, but Hayato didn't miss how he relaxed under his touch. Our little tsundere won't even admit how happy he is. He watched as Shirabu took his place next to the bed, immediately taking hold of Taichi's hand, before he quietly closed the door behind him. Semi perked up when he spotted him. How is he? He's awake now, recalling the events. Oh, thank goodness. He turned to Sawamura. We owe you big time for this. Thank you. The policeman just waved his hand, a small smile resting on his lips. Don't mention it. I just did what was right. I'm glad your partner is alright. Or as much as he can be. He became serious again, the sudden rise of tension in his shoulders making Hayato pause. Now that he looked the man over, he noticed his uniform was much dirtier and more crumbled than when they met by the barn. Semi had to realize it too, his brow furrowing with worry. Is something wrong? If it's about that maniac... Well, yes and no. You don't have to worry. You acted in self-defense, so you shouldn't have any issues, even if... If? Wait, was he holding someone else there? Both men tilted their heads, and Hayato rushed with an explanation. I told Tai about how we found him thanks to the banging we heard, but he said it wasn't him because he couldn't move. So there had to be someone else, right? He froze when he saw Sawamura's empty expression. It was just for a brief moment, but it effectively sent shivers down his spine. Or not? That's why I'm here. Officially, I shouldn't tell you any of this, but I think you deserve to know about it. We had a dog with us because of the search. She used to be a cadaver dog before taking on rescues, and she alerted us to several suspicious places behind that house. Hayato's stomach dropped. How many exactly? 9. In different stages of decomposition. Our coroner did only a brief examination, but he already said neither of them had a very pleasant death. Semi visibly paled, though Hayato wasn't doing any better, barely holding back the urge to throw up. Jesus fucking Christ. They looked at each other, both thinking the same thing. Then what did we hear there? Do you know who they were? Not yet. We will be matching them with missing reports as soon as the official examination is over. We might have to dig deep. It looks like that guy went on it for years. And no one would probably find out about it if it wasn't for you and old Amaya. Though I suppose you would much rather stay without that experience. Hayato let out a strangled chuckle. Well, at least we can tell Tai he helped to stop a serial killer. That might make him feel better. Can you keep us updated? At least when it gets to the court? Of course. They might want you to give a testimony anyway, so I'll keep you up to date. He checked his watches and cleared his throat, putting the cap back on his head. Well, I should get going. This is going to be a nightmare of a case. Take care. And I wish your partner fast recovery. Thanks. We will pay for dinner next time we see each other. Sounds good to me. With that, he gave them a quick salute and headed down the hallway towards the reception, leaving them alone with the horrifying discovery and their thoughts until Hayato broke the silence. So, when you said that we would be lucky if we didn't find a mass grave there... Oh, don't even remind me. It's making me sick just thinking about it. He shivered, his gaze straying to the door leading into Taichi's room. I don't think we should tell him right now. It would just rattle with him when he needs to rest. Yeah, agreed. He shook off the invisible weight that draped over his shoulders with Samamura's words and tugged on Semi's hand. No matter what it was that alerted them to Taichi's position, they found him thanks to it, and he was grateful for that. Let's go to him, He's going to be happy to see you too. And he was right. Taichi's eyes glossed over when they entered, his lower lip quivering when Semi hugged him. They then settled by the bed again, each holding Taichi's hands in some way as they talked quietly and shared the snacks Shirabu held onto from the cafeteria. Hayato had to smile as Shirabu and Semi slipped into their usual bickering routine, the familiar sight easing the last remnants of the tense atmosphere. Taichi seemed to think the same, his lips curling with a tired but content smile. And Hayato couldn't be happier about it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I did. This was a story I really enjoyed writing, along with the Terusho and Otana story. And now there's nothing standing between me, you, and Nightmare November. I talked about it in the previous video, so I hope you are ready for some nightmares. It's going to be fun. If you have any requests or ideas, the request form is linked in the video description. See you next time.